Get ready as Fighters Inc. presents 5 rounds in the FightMad Zone with the biggest names from the world of combat sports. Hosted by Joe Long. This is the FightMad Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the FightMad Podcast, hosted by myself, Joe Long from Fighters Inc., as we approach our 25th year in the combat sports sector. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and give us a follow on all social media at Fighters Inc. As you may know, we have athletes, industry insiders, and celebrity fight fans on the FightMad Zone. And this week's guest is very close to my heart and very close to the Fighters Inc. story, if you like. And I suppose without our next guest, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast. I probably wouldn't be involved in combat sports. And it's a big one for me. It's a big one for me because it's where it all started. When I was 6 years of age, I was took to a certain karate dojo in East London by my late father and met this man. And I'm delighted to say he's my first karate guest. He's still a friend. He's my first ever karate coach. He's an icon globally for karate and British karate history. He needs no introduction at all in the world of karate, really. I mean, we can go on to some of the titles and his achievements throughout the podcast. But, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the FightMad Podcast, my first and only karate coach, world-renowned Ticky Donovan OBE. Ticky, welcome to the FightMad Podcast.
Hi, Joe. Lovely to be here. Lovely to see you again, mate.
Lovely to see you, Tick. And it's all the way from Thailand.
Yeah.
Bit of a difference from Barking or East Ham, I suppose.
Just a touch.
You was telling me a little bit earlier before we went live about the heat. How's it out there at the moment, and how's your aircon working?
Yeah, it's about 32 degrees and the aircon's coming through now, so it's good. But we're 6 hours in front, so it's 8:45 in the evening. Brilliant.
So I know we're going to go into round one very soon, Tick, but what have you been up to recently? We know you're retired, or people should know you're retired. Did you catch karate at the Olympics, and any thoughts on that?
Yes, I did catch it. It wasn't live out here, but some people sent me links, and I watched the men and women's kata and some of the fighting, not all of it. So very impressed with the kata. Sanchez from Spain was, I think the Japanese girl was technically better, but Sanchez is so strong, you know. It was good to watch. It was great to watch. It's just a crying shame if it's not in the next one. Sure.
And what did you make of the kumite out of the actual competition karate?
Yeah, some of it was good. I say all of it was good, really. You know, it was Olympic. It was world level. No, I enjoyed what I saw, but I would have loved to have seen it all, but we couldn't get it out here.
Right, I'm with you. So just going back for our listeners, Tick, let's just talk briefly. I know we'll touch on it. I've got some notes here from our producer, Andreas, of your achievements. As a competitor, you was 3 times British champion and world team champion in 1975. And then, without being disrespectful, probably more well-known for your coaching.
Yeah.
Guiding Britain to 5 consecutive world championship titles. Throughout that time, obviously works with an abundance of fighters in what a lot of people call the golden era of British karate.
Yeah, crying shame there wasn't any of them still around for the Olympics. You know, That was always our dream. And it was so sad to think what we had, where we was in the world. It was a fabulous ride. I had some of the best, I had the best fighters in the world, without a doubt, men and female. So, and it was just great. The more I look back on it, the more luckier I was.
Sure.
To have gone through that.
Most definitely, and some amazing names who I'm sure we'll touch base as we go through the podcast. But going back to yourself, Tick, we're going to go into round 1 of the Fight Mad Zone.
Seconds out, round 1.
And first question for every guest: what is Ticky Donovan's first ever fight memory?
Well, Joe, coming from the East End, you grew up with lots of fights. But I remember joining the club at Clapham Common with Tatsu Suzuki, and it was packed. And then they started doing some free fighting. The next week it was empty. So I learned how to, we done free fighting. But then my biggest memory is my first competition fight, which I never even really knew what was happening because the Japanese didn't speak much English. And all of a sudden they just told us to line 2 sides of the wall. And I remember this green belt called Chong I had to fight. I was a green belt, he was a green belt. And they said competition, which I didn't understand at all. And as soon as it started, bang, he hit me with a low kick to the stomach. And he got a point. And I thought, wake up. So then I'd done a punch to the face. And they said something to me and pointed to me. I thought, that's it, it's 1-1. And then he kicked me again in the stomach. And they said, that's it, it's finished. It's all over. You lost. And I said, I went, what happened? I sat down and said to the person next to me, I don't know what that was all about. What happened? I said, I thought I scored a point. He said, no, they give you a warning for contact. I thought, I didn't understand. And that's all we done. And then Suzuki says, right, you've got to fight 2 weeks' time at Crystal Palace for the British Championships. And that was it. That was my first competition fight. The next one was the British Championships at Crystal Palace.
Wow.
And I won the juniors, which then was by grade. It was green belt below. So that was my first win in competition. 1966. British green belt champion, Great Britain.
Brilliant. And where did the British take place at that time, Tick? Was that
Crystal
still at Crystal Palace?
Yeah, Crystal Palace. And then it was sort of the first home for karate. Everything went on there,
Sure. And you say, you talk about that training session was in Clapham, Ticky.
Clapham, yeah.
Clapham with Tetsuo Suzuki. And you're obviously from East London, sort of born and bred East London. What was your journey over to South London like back in the 60s? And how long did it take?
Well, it took a good hour. But what happened, I saw a picture in the Daily Mirror of this guy breaking some wood. And my friend, he used to do judo, and he had this judo mag, and he kept showing me all these little pictures of Tatsu Suzuki doing karate. So I said, come on, we go over there. And we went over there and joined. And then we found out that green belt was Peter Spanton. And he didn't drive. We give him a lift home, and that got us, we got right involved with karate from there. But I still remember the second time, because I was boxing at the Black Lion, I found it slow. I nearly give it up. And then they done this demonstration on the Friday, and that was it. I just thought, that looks good.
So how long had you been training until you was sort of making that decision that you wanted to give it up? Was it a week or a couple of weeks or months?
Second day training. Because
second day training.
When I was boxing, I was used to like sparring and sweating and skipping and everything. Well, the basic then was so slow, Joe. It was sort of one count, everyone steps, and then they put about 10 people, corrected 10 people. Then you had another step. And I thought, this is too slow. It's too boring. But then on the Friday, Tatsu Suzuki, Shimizu, and a black belt Japanese lady, I'll remember her name in a minute, Miss Hayashi. Anyway, they'd done a demonstration. And I was just so impressed with the kicking and punching and the speed of it. And I just said, oh, yeah, all right, it's worth training for.
Okay. And your boxing time, Tick, at the Black Lion, had you competed as an amateur?
Just as an amateur, yeah. I loved it.
And
I'd done it through the schoolboys. I was first a member of East End Boxing Club. And then I was told, no, the Black Lion Plasto is a better club. So I used to go there, and I really enjoyed it. I was there for years. Jimmy Tibbs was there then, Danny Mogford,
Brilliant. So, another iconic coach in boxing, Jimmy Tibbs.
Yeah,
ironically.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Brilliant. So first fight memory goes down in the books for Ticky Donovan as your first sparring session at Clapham with Tetsuo Suzuki, and may like to take this point to say rest in peace to Tetsuo Suzuki, who I had the privilege of actually going to his funeral with you, Tick, a number of years ago now.
I remember,
and,
Joe, yeah.
What a gentleman he was.
Yeah.
Seconds out, round 2.
We go into round 2, and I suppose you're going to give me a couple of answers for this one, because I suppose you've probably got a favourite fighter of all time for karate and a favourite fighter of all time, for combat sports, whether that be boxing or MMA. So what is Ticky Donovan's... Let's start with combat sports first, and then we go on to karate. What is Ticky Donovan's favourite all-time fighter of combat sports?
Well, it's got to be the same one, isn't it? He done full contact. My idol is Dominic Valera. And I learned so much from that man. And I used to tell people he's before his time. And now he's 74. He's still doing courses every weekend and kicking people around the head. He's just a one-off. He's absolutely a genius.
So he is your all-time favourite athlete, full stop, within combat sports, full stop, Ticky, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. So talk to us about Dominic when you guys first met and how your relationship developed. So those who don't know, and first time listening to anyone on the podcast from karate, Dominic Valera, French international for karate, and then was also involved in kickboxing and full contact kickboxing, and a very close associate of Ticky's, and done many coaching seminars, many courses in the UK in the 80s and maybe 90s as well, Ticky.
Yeah, 80s and 90s, and he's still after us doing another one now. He keeps talking to me and saying, let's do another one. And a lot of people say yes, but I just don't know. This COVID has knocked everything out of the window, so we see. Never say never.
I think it'd be packed personally. I think it'd be packed if you got that on. So talk to us.
He was my idol. He was a French. He weren't very friendly at all. He was very offish with people. And I fought him twice. I drew with him once, and he beat me the second time. And then John Smith brought him over to do a course. And I travelled down to Plymouth to train with him. And we just got on so well. And then he done a tour of England with John Smith the next year. And he come to Dagenham one night. And we was packed solid with black belts, And he just said, I never go anywhere else now. I only come to Ticky in London. And that was the start of our friendship and, the courses we used to put on every year.
Brilliant. Do you remember, what was the first year, Tick, what you'd actually done a coaching seminar with Dominic in the UK? Can you remember?
Jesus. I couldn't even remember, Joe.
That would have been early 80s though, right?
No, before that.
Well, was it late 70s?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Definitely.
And just for the listeners, Ticky, what sort of numbers was you attracting on coaching seminars at that time?
Well, when we was doing the Sobel, we had 3 classes, 2 hours each long, and each class had over 100 people in. You know, and that last class was only black belt. So there was over 100 black belts in a class, and no one had ever seen classes like that. So Correct. There was people from Scotland, well, from everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky enough to have been at the forefront of seminars in the UK with, you know, UFC fighters, but them numbers as a youngster growing up and looking around and seeing the amount of people training and the level of coaching, you know, from yourself, and obviously Dominic was second to none, but people would travel throughout the UK to come to the Michael Sobel Centre in Islington, right?
Yeah, Terry O'Neill, Billy Higgins, Davey Coulter, big group used to come down from Scotland. I mean, near enough everyone done one of them courses that does karate in GB, in Great Britain.
Most definitely. And talk to us a little bit about what attracted you to Dominic as an athlete, Tick. I mean, I've got my view. I would imagine that his fluidity is the start of it.
It's fluid, and what really done it, so when I first trained with him, we done some free fighting, and I'd only been used to fighting the Japanese, and most of the time all you'd done was learn to block, because they were a bit vicious and a bit spiteful. But he played, Joe. He played, and he was laughing and joking, and a couple of times I remember fighting him at the Sobel, and there was a load of people watching up the top, and I'd done a kick, and he just kicked me back leg and smiled at me and laughed, and he didn't take me down. You know, he just like looked at me and winked and went, "You was a bit open there," and I just thought, you're the man. And he changed my attitude completely, because I was a bit vicious in the fighting, because that's the way I was brought up. And he just changed me completely. My outlook of, you haven't got to punch someone on the nose till their nose bleeds to show you're better than them. You know, you can do it just by moving around and enjoying. And I think that is why when we done the courses at Sobel, the last 20 minutes of each class was free fighting. And everyone loved it. You know, people got caught with things, but no one got seriously hurt. And I think that was his nature. He didn't have to hurt you to show he was better than you. He could just do it with technique.
Most definitely. I mean, I remember watching him, being taught by him as a youngster, and yourself, and I think that fluidity and that you know, him having jokes, you know, he'd teach a technique and then make a joke about the technique, or how you'd be exposed to someone. It kind of stuck with you as a kid, because it was like, he made it fun. He made coaching fun.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm not saying that you didn't, Tick.
Yeah, but I learned from him, Joe. You know, I said before I started working with him, I was a bit vicious every time I fought, because that's the way I'd been brought up, you know.
Yeah, and, most definitely.
Just completely changed my attitude.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So in round 2, favourite fighter of all time, goes down in the books. I'm surprised you haven't given me a karate one as well, but he is a karate one. Goes down as Dominic Valeria, number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1. And if you're listening to this, people, and you haven't seen him, go on YouTube, type his name in, and just watch how fluid the man was. Unbelievable.
Seconds out. Round 3.
We're going to go on to round 3. We're going to go a bit deep on this one. And we have many different answers from this. And you've had your bit of controversy in your time, Tick, whether it's inside or outside of coaching. You know, life sometimes gets in the way, you know. What has been Ticky Donovan's biggest fight in life that you've had to overcome, and why?
The biggest fight was my knee operation, Joe, which a lot of people didn't realise how much I suffered with it. In 77, I'd really started coming through. You know, I'd won the European Cup of Nice. Everything was going right. And then we had a match with France in the February, and I ripped all my ligaments in my right knee. And I'd never known pain like it. And I went in hospital, and I had the West Ham football team's doctor. He operated on me. And I said, look, I want to go to Japan in end of the year. We've got the World Championships. He said, really, you need your ligaments done, but I'll just take your cartilage out and give you a run for your money. And I got in the team. I fought in Japan, but it wasn't good. And after that, I had to retire from fighting. It was just, I fought in the British and in the team event, but that was my last international. And I think this is what made me go into coaching so thin, because I had to retire before my time, Joe. I wasn't finished. I wasn't ready to retire, but I had to. And then I went through a real few years of pain with my knee after every session, ice blocks and on it. And then I had the operation in late 83 where I had all the ligaments done. Mm-hmm. And I was a guinea pig they called it a Macintosh repair. They repaired my ligaments with carbon fibers, but it was never right. So that was a bugbear that after every sessions, people didn't see me. I used to have to go and blow with my leg up on some pillars, get the fluid down.
Sure. And that time, Tick, so it was more of an emotional journey for you. Was it tough watching other athletes who you was in the team with go on and progress?
It was, but as I say, I didn't feel finished. So when I started coaching, the closest I could get to the mat was through whoever I was coaching. So yeah. I still had that enthusiasm to fight so much that I think it come out in the fighters, because it's not like I had to retire and I was ready to retire and I was fed up with it. I still wanted to be on the mat. I still wanted to be fighting.
Got it. And just talk, so for the listeners out there who don't know karate, the club which you created, Tick, back in was it the 70s with Ishinru? Was it when did Ishinru actually start? I think it was mid 70s, right?
I was Kyokushinkai, yeah. I was Kyokushinkai, and then I opened a club at Bark in Dagenham with Terry Morris, and then there was a fallout in Kyokushinkai, and I changed the club I made up the Ishinru name.
So the Ishinru club is renowned globally. Just talk us through when you started that club, Tick, and like the numbers and the people what used to get through the door, how many classes there were a week, because that's such a stronghold had such a stronghold in world karate. Just talk us through when you made that sort of transition just to coaching all the time.
Well, the club used to run, but at first there was Dicky Wu and Timmy Francis was helping me run it. And then I had other people that come up, my black belt said, run a class one night. And the class used to run nearly every night. I only used to teach twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but the club just went to strength to strength. And when the Bruce Lee buzz come out, it was crazy. Everyone wanted to learn karate, which was half a good thing and half a bad thing, because there was a lot of Mickey Mouse clubs opened up then, and the standard went down quite a bit. But we was very traditional. Although we done well as you know, we done well in competition, but it was a very traditional club. And we had many champions in kata. Sorry, it's a fly. So it was a traditional karate club.
Sure. And the actual, members of the club, Tick, at its peak. How many members did Ishinru have at its peak?
I don't know, 1,000 maybe, because people opened their own clubs. You know, there was Basildon Ishinru, East Ham Ishinru, Plaistow Ishinru. I never really knew.
Right. So I think you're being you're underestimating what you had. It was an amazing time with. I reckon there was more than 1,000, Tick. I think there's probably 300 members just in Barking alone. At one point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean that was the biggest club. There must have been 300 members there, because we had 2 junior classes and then 2 senior classes nearly every night. Yeah.
So the biggest fight what Ticky Donovan's had in his life was off the back of his knee operation and getting over that. But the upside was bringing you into the whole coaching situation. Yeah,
definitely. And as I said, when I think back on it, I was just so lucky, not having a knee operation, but to be able to have the squads I had at that time. And, the people were they were fighting to get into their places. It was like European Championships, in the England squad. And people from Finland and Switzerland, as you know, they used to come over for the summer course. They said, this is like the European Championships. The fighting there used to be so great.
Yeah, the depth and level of athlete was second to none.
Second to none.
Absolutely second to none. And not just saying that because I was there, but it was.
Seconds out. Round 4.
We're going to go into round 4, and this actually, you've just spoke about the summer course. So every year there used to be a training course down in sunny Clacton, hosted by Ticky for many years. I don't know how many years that run, Ticky, probably for 20 odd years maybe. And
30 odd.
30 odd, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm older than I think. And music actually played a massive part in that weekend, because obviously people would train every day, 2 to 3 sessions a day, and then party of an evening. And music was always a big part of the summer course. What is Ticky's biggest musical inspiration?
It's got to be Fatima Whitehead, isn't it? Ain't no stopping us now. That was the favourite one, and also Bobby Brown. It's my prerogative. I used to.
You're Bobby Brown fan, Tick?
Huh? Yeah, big. But Joe, I like so much music. I like all different type of music. I should say, my all-time favourite song now is "You've Got a Friend in Me." That's what friends are for. You know the song?
Yep. I know the song. I can't think of the artist, but I know the track you mean.
Well, there's the group, isn't it? It's Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder. There's a group, oh dear, who plays the piano? It's so many different people you've seen do it with. It was written by Carol Bauer-Sager, and who wrote all Dionne Warwick songs.
Right, okay.
I've gone blank on it.
Gone. That's what friends are for.
Burt
Bacharach. Yeah. All the big band sound.
Yeah, and his wife, Carol Bauer-Sager, they wrote that song. And it's a fabulous song. That's what friends are for.
Brilliant.
I think that's my all-time favourite song.
That's your all-time favourite song. I know you was a big Frank Sinatra fan as well, right?
Oh, yeah, I love Frank Sinatra. I went to see him twice. I sung with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I sung with him at the Royal Albert Hall, but the people in front asked me to be quiet. They said I was spoiling. But I loved him and Tony Bennett. He was another one.
Right. So what year was his concert, Tick, at the Albert Hall?
One was at the Albert Hall. That's the first time I saw him. And the last time I saw him was about 29 years ago. And that was at the London Arena.
Right, okay. Oh, was he there? Was he really?
Yeah. I also saw Sammy Davis Jr. at London Palladium. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Right.
But, you know, I love the Clan. Dean Martin, they're an icon, they're a legend. Complete legend.
Did it have any reflection on your drinking days or your social days?
When I was younger, everyone smoked. Not in your day, Joe, but when I was young, because Frank Sinatra was always smoking while he was singing, so was Dean Martin, and if you went to the movies, they were smoking, and I was brought up smoking. Well, I really give it up because the more I started training, I got fed up with it, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, that was a big, not so much drinking. When I was competing, I never might have occasional Saturday night crazy party or something, but I didn't drink that much then.
No? I'm sure there's a lot... I'm sure there's...
Boy, I worked on the Evening Standard.
Was that your first job, Tick?
Yeah.
On the Evening Standard?
My first wages was £3 2 and 9. That was my first week's wages.
On the Evening Standard. And whereabouts was that based?
It was around. You worked on. I worked on the vans.
Right. Okay.
Running the papers in and out of shops and things like that. But great job for it, because you had to run. You know what I mean? Them drivers, quick boy, you had to run. They'd pull away before you got back. So I always say that was part of my training anyway, working on the Evening Standard. Especially on a Saturday night when you had classifieds, you know, the football results. We used to come past the Abbey Arms, there'd be like 150 men waiting to get the paper to check their pulls.
Right,
and
yeah.
They didn't care what paper it was. Whoever there was there first, that's who sold the papers. So the drivers were like lunatics.
Right. No internet back then, right?
No.
Brilliant. So round 4 goes down in the books. Favourite track for you, That's What Friends Are For, Dionne Warwick and co.
Seconds out, round 5.
We're going to go on to round 5, Tick, with... obviously, you come from a boxing background. You started off in boxing, combat sports, and we all know the importance of a corner team. And we've had some real... not funny, but a real mixture of answers on this question, from family to the Pope on this question with our last 7 guests. And what is Ticky Donovan's corner team for life? I need 3 names from you, Ticky, who would be most inspirational in your corner for life, and why?
Well, one would be Dominic Valera, who I said before, because he inspired me so much. You know, he changed the way I done karate, the way I taught and everything. The other one would be my assistant coach, Wayne Otto, who still holds the record, you know, Britain's best fighter, 9 times world champion. Plus, I can't count the European Championships that he won.
Cool. If we just stop there, Tick, on Wayne, because we've spoke about Dominic. So Wayne Otto, the most decorated British fighter in history.
Yeah, in history.
Full stop. Actually, the first winner of the 10K Karate Clash, which we promoted. Promoted next. Right? Well, you shouldn't have, because you was commentating.
Yeah, no. I mean, now you brought it up, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
You was commentating. You know, that's 20 years next year, Ticky. That event was 20 years next year. when Wayne come out of retirement for the 10K Karate Clash.
Yeah.
Just talk to the audience a little bit about Wayne as a person and an athlete.
Oh, as an athlete, whatever you threw at him, he done. But he's just got this drive to win. He just had this drive in him. Sometimes, you coached him and you had to say things. Other time I coached him and all I'd tell him was how long to go. What time it was, a minute ago, 30 seconds to go. But he's just got such a will to win, which he proved. And then when he joined me as an assistant coach, at first he wasn't going to do it. And then he spoke to Terry Daly, and Terry Daly said, you should do. You'll be crazy if you don't. And we just got on so well, and it clicked. It just clicked. And that's why I would have had him in my corner. And it's just a crying shame that there he is, the coach of Norway, and not the coach of England and Great Britain, which I still can't get my head around. Can't understand.
Yeah, I suppose that's politics and karate, but what a great job he's doing for Norway right now.
Yeah, but this is Wayne. He don't know how to do anything else. He's got that same enthusiasm when he's coaching as if when he was fighting. He wants to win. So
a mirror of basically your career.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I can remember Wayne retiring, and we went to one World Championships, and all of a sudden we was getting hit by injuries. Davin Pack's shoulder come out, someone else done their knee, and he joined in, started training, and fought in the team.
In Madrid.
They took a bronze medal in the team.
Yep. I mean that shows the heart of the person, right?
Yeah.
And number 3 on your list, Ticky,
would be an all-time favourite student of mine, Peter Dennis.
Brilliant. Talk to the listeners about Peter Dennis and your history together.
Well, Peter was he was a student of mine. I met him at Stratford Station once when I was collecting the papers, and he went, "You're Ticky Donovan, and you got a karate club?" And I think he had done some training at Basildon, and he come down and he joined. And his career, not a lot of people know, but he done really well. He's a European champion. He was never got a world title in the team, but he won so many different, when we used to travel with Ishinru, he won so many things, but he was just a great inspiration to me in his fighting, and he was very clever fighter. And he could talk people into doing things that they couldn't do. And I think he went away a couple of times as England coach. He took the teams away a couple of times. He's a very, very clever fighter.
And when you met Tick, when you first met Peter, what sort of year are we talking, and how long till he was actually up and competing with yourself at that time?
It's got to be late 60s, early 70s. Let's say early 70s, right. Because he was, when I won the British 73, 74, 75, he was there, and he was also in the England team. Him, Tyron White. And it's funny, Joe, not just blowing a trumpet about Ishinru, but a lot of the people put pictures on Facebook of the old squads going away, the teams, you're in the summer. And it's amazing when I count down how many Ishinru fighters. And it wasn't because I was just a coach, because they were winning. They were winning I can remember the England Championships, us winning A and B team in the final. Ishimura, you know, we had so many people come through.
So many people come through, and for me to have, you know, for the position we're in now as Fighters Inc. and what we've done in the combat sports world, there's so many people what go, oh, you used to do karate. Oh, you train with Ticky Donovan. And then we hear about 1 million more people that trained with you that never did tick. It's quite funny. It's quite funny because some people will go, oh, I used to train at Ishinru, and you go, really? Where did you train? And they'd give you some story, and they go, oh, I only trained there once, or I only trained there for a week, and that was it. But for the history of the club, I mean, it's got such a big name, you know, nationally, globally, and we had so many athletes, you know, as a young person growing up, so many role models to look up to and keep you in check. I mean, I was, you know, I was probably one of the first young people in the club, if you like. You know, there was obviously more before me, but you know, who went all the way through, and it was, you know, it shaped me as a person, with my career and with life, growing up around all the names what you've just mentioned, and
made us all a better person, Joe, didn't it? You know, me as well. And Eddie Gillespie, they all said I would have wound up in prison if it weren't for karate, you know. And I'll tell you a funny story, a quick, and if we can. I belong to a golf society out here.
Okay.
I haven't played for a couple of years now, but first time I was playing, the guy that runs it, Dave Smith, he's an ex-policeman. Anyway, one of the guys we're playing with, he went, Ticky Donovan? I said, yeah. I fought you at Crystal Palace in the 60s, you know. So we're laughing, and this, you know, you get all these stories, and everybody knows someone who's a world champion, European. And this guy turned around and he went, are you talking about karate? I said, yes, Dave. He went, oh, I've got a karate story. I thought, oh, here we go. Another one. He went, my daughter goes out with a European champion. I went, yeah. I said, we've only got one European champion. That's Jordan Thomas. He went, that's him. Marvellous, eh? What a small world. He's still
brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. He's getting married.
Are they getting married?
I think they're getting married. So congratulations to Jordan whenever that happens.
Yeah, lovely. Well, this was about 7 years ago. And he went, yeah, I got a karate story. I thought, oh, here we go, another one. And yeah, that was a bit of a shock for me.
Brilliant. Ticky, it's been amazing to have you on. I'd like to say, from me personally, thanks for everything you've done for me as a young person growing up, and kept me on the straight and narrow a few times.
Joe, your credit, mate. Your credit.
And no doubt we'll catch up soon. And thank you to everybody for tuning into the FightMad Podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm getting choked up here, Tick. And give us a follow at Fighters Inc. and subscribe to the FightMad Podcast. That's it from myself, Joe Long. We'll catch you on the other side with some more guests, celebrity fight fans, combat sports insiders, and amazing athletes. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ticky.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Proud of you.